Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The Oklahoma Sooners have landed their quarterback of the 2024 class in Michael Hawkins. And before you even turn on the tape or film of Michael Hawkins, the one thing you absolutely like about him is he's not afraid of the competition. Normally, when you land a quarterback of the level of Jackson Arnold in 2023, it's really hard to land another good quarterback in 2024. And even more of that, he's sandwiched between Kevin Sperry, already committed in the 2025 class at the quarterback position. Michael Hawkins believes in his ability to be a starter at Oklahoma, and you absolutely love that in an era where it just seems like so many players just want to go to the place where it's easiest to find playing time. Michael Hawkins, not afraid of the competition, obviously a gamer, and now this quarterback room for Jeff Lebby is looking absolutely loaded. Now, before we get into it again, I just want to say thank you to you guys, especially the Sooner fans. Covering that 2023 recruiting class was a blast. Not many better fans than you guys, and all the support you guys have shown truly means a lot. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel and get locked in for the month of April because, one, talking about the spring game, two, I think there's going to be a lot more recruiting news in the month to come, and we'll talk about some of those prospects. So we appreciate all of you guys. Dill, I'm going to kick it off to you. Brent Venables, year 2 of the recruiting cycle. How are we feeling?
Yeah, and clearly it's off to a somewhat slower start than what last year. He came in and was barnstorming, brought in as good of a class as you've seen in Oklahoma in a long time. And this is probably, I think this is the first commitment of the cycle, right?
Second, Jeremiah Newcomb in there, and they like slow to an extent, but like they're getting a ton of traction with the.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's slow in terms of commitments, but you feel good about guys like David Stone and Sandy Brown.
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of guys on the board who are going to Oklahoma, and it's not. Yeah, of course, the commitments haven't quite come yet, but obviously it's still super early. And you're right; it looks like they're going to be very much in the running for some Giants.
And you feel like talking about the quarterback position with Jeff Lebby as your OC, like you feel really good about it. You got Dylan. I think it's a perfect situation right now. Dylan Gabriel, one of the more experienced and productive quarterbacks at the FBS level, coming back for one more year. Jackson Arnold are going to be backing him up. And then you have Michael Hawkins coming in 2024 and Kevin Sperry coming in 2025. There's a long runway of talented quarterbacks. And you look at other programs, and we were just talking about Auburn. Auburn doesn't really even have one talented quarterback that you feel great about. Oklahoma is bringing in a lot of talent at that quarterback position. If you give Jeff Lebby talented quarterbacks, that offense is going to start clicking.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They had a pretty good crop of wide receivers too last year, and at the end of the day, what like Oklahoma like you got to hope that Jeff Lebby again can do what he's done at every place he's been, which is run a really good offense. And then Brent Venables will come in and fix the defense that hasn't really been great since probably throwback to the Bob Stoops era. I mean, they never played great defense with Lincoln Riley. So I think you're in a good spot because you do have a Jeff Lebby type coordinator who you don't need to, as Brent Venables doesn't need to worry about him or deal with him. And you see that he's recruiting really good quarterbacks already, recruiting good wideouts, filling out that room.
Running backs too. I think they're doing a phenomenal. DeMarco Murray is doing a phenomenal job, and that's one of the things that you like about Oklahoma so much is not only like we talk about Brent Venables, and I always say like there's not many coaches that I feel this way about. Shane Beamer's probably another one. Brent Venables probably another one. I'm a stud 18-year-old kid in high school trying to figure out where I want to go play my college football. Not many other guys than Brent Venables or a guy like Shane Beamer that I'd want to go take my talents and play with. This dude loves football. He's a charismatic individual, and the Sooner fans are absolutely awesome. And so this is a place that you can recruit well, but Brent Venables has surrounded himself with a lot of really good assistant coaches that are getting it done on the recruiting trail. DeMarco Murray, Jeff Lebby, just being a Miguel Chavez on the defensive line. We'll talk about some of those guys as well. Just absolutely getting it done, and you feel really good about it and from a talent standpoint.
Yeah, and that'll be the thing. Obviously, it's going to start with recruiting, and then as you get deeper into this tenure, you're going to want to start seeing the wins and the development and put guys into the NFL, both on offense where they've been doing that for a while now, but you want to start seeing some defenders go first round like they were at Clemson when Venables was there.
And I think that's going to be the biggest sell point, and you're seeing Brent Venables really take a look and prioritize that defensive line. So you got Michael Hawkins, you got Jeremiah Newcomb kind of playing that cornerback potentially, like that nickel role. You're seeing Brent Venables take a long look at that front seven because you look at what Brent Venables had so much success with at Clemson, creating havoc on the quarterback, and creating some of those negative plays with all the talent that they had on the defensive line and the front seven at Clemson. And I think his track record of putting all those guys into the NFL is holding a lot of weight with some of these recruits in the 2024 class. They addressed it heavily in the transfer portal, guys like Rondell Bothroyd, Devin Spears coming in, Trace Ford from Oklahoma State. But they're really getting after it, especially on the defensive line and the front seven in this 2024 class, picking up crystal balls with guys like Williams Onenari, David Stone, Sammy Brown was on campus, Nigel Smith they have a crystal ball for. Like, you see them prioritizing that front seven because that's what Brent Venables relies so much on to run a good defense.
Yeah, and they did it last year too. I mean, bring a guy like Ajapo Adebare, like those are the type of guys that they're going to need those type of guys to play, because you even watched last year, they really couldn't do anything defensive line wise. Like, Jalen Redmond, a solid player, but for him to be the best they had, you could tell they were a little undermanned and couldn't be disruptive in the way Brent Venables kind of relies on, because that is where it stopped and started at Clemson. Is you saw how many first round defensive linemen they were putting into the draft. That's kind of the bread and butter of what he's going to do. He wants to be able to generate a lot of pressure and with that front seven, just kind of swallow teams.
Yeah, and talking about like who they have crystal balls for and thinking about what this 2024 class could be, like they got a lot of guys that I have my eye closely on. Caden Durham, a running back. Like, you see all the noise about Jarrett Gibson, the number one running back in the country. It seems like DeMarco Murray is prioritizing a guy like Caden Durham, who has a thick lower half. He's a little bit smaller. Absolute burners, has an offer from the Oklahoma track team as well. You obviously land a guy like Michael Hawkins, but another guy who is a fast riser at 24/7 rankings, and Brian Wesco, another guy who is some legit speed. And then on that defensive line, guys like Williams Onwinari, Nigel Smith, and then David Stone, Peyton Pierce, best wrestler in the state as well. So like what this 2024 class could be, and as it picks up more visits in the month of April, you're really excited that Oklahoma can put together another really, really good class on top of that 2023 class.
And that's kind of what you think. And it could be an issue because, like, they had so much turnover after the Lincoln Riley era. It's like it feels like there's enough spots to go around for these next couple classes to go really deep, really talented for a couple of years now. And then obviously it'll start getting into that like on a cycle where, yeah, you recruit a really good class. It's your next class is probably going to be smaller. It's probably going to be as high as ranked, but you still want to bring in those top tier players. You just aren't as deep. But that for right now, I think Oklahoma has many bodies as they can get in these recruiting cycles as much.
And I think the best part about it is these are BV's guys. I think Brent Venables wants to run a type of defense. That was not the type of defense Alex Grinch and Lincoln Riley were running at Oklahoma in 2021. And so it was as much as we were on the hype train of the Oklahoma hype train and Brent Venables hype train in 2022, a little bit foolish of us to just think that defense would click right away, because it was a very different scheme. Alex Grinch wants to play that bend but don't break. We're going to try to not let up the big play and just try to stop you in the red zone. Brent Venables says, screw that. We're going to put some pressure on the quarterback. We're going to turn you over. We're going to smother you. That's what he did at Clemson, and there were some growing pains in 2022, and I think he needs some more of the guys that he kind of wants heading into 2023 to make that Oklahoma defense be what you saw at Clemson. He attacked the transfer portal, had a phenomenal 2023 class. I have a feeling you're going to start to see things change in a meaningful way for Oklahoma, especially on the defensive side of the ball in 2023.
Yeah, and just to kind of round out recruiting talk, like I don't think NIL is hurting a school like Oklahoma, who has as big of a support base and as much of a fan base that you have. So they're going to support the athletes. That certainly helps in the NIL era, along with just being a really exciting place to play college football. But I kind of expect this Oklahoma team to really ramp up. I mean, just not ramp up because they ramped it up last year, but to continue and be that type of team where you're going to see them around that 5 range every year.
There's certainly a program that can do it. I think they have the coaching and the coaching staff to make that happen. And again, to kind of close this out, guys, this could be a really, really big month. Like, it's been a slow start from the term of verbal commitments in the 2024 class. I think it could really ramp up in the month of April. So stay locked in. We're watching the spring game, I believe, in 2 weeks from now. So lock in for that. We appreciate all the support that the Sooner fans have shown. We really do appreciate it. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.